Hey y'all, and welcome to the Ginger Spice Show. It is your hostess with the mostest, your not so typical school psychologist, Ginger. If this is your first time coming to my channel, welcome. Hey there, hey love, how are you? It is a pleasure to have you here with us today. I hope that you will find some really great information here that you will take with you on your journey. And if you are coming back, if you are a part of the family, hey, I have missed you. I'm so glad that you're back here with me. Let me know how y'all have been. Tell me in the comments, what shows are you watching on Netflix? Where are you quarantining? Like, are you ready to get back outside? I'm kind of ready to get back outside. Not really, but whatever. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Hit the button, hit the bell. I know that you missed me. I know that you want to come back. I know that you love what I have to say, so come on. Hit it, do it for me. In today's episode, we'll be discussing all things my first year at Howard. So crazy to believe that my first year was 3 years ago. Like, time is really flying. But today we'll be discussing the classes that I took, the major takeaways from those classes, the major takeaways from my first year at Howard, and really just getting into what it was like being a grad student of school psychology at the Howard University. So if that's what you came looking for, you know I got you. I started Howard's master's program in school psychology fall of 2017. So I graduated from college 2017 and went straight down to DC to start my master's program. So from the very beginning, I kept very comprehensive binders of the work that I was doing and all that kind of stuff. And this is what they look like. So this is fall 2017. And here I have my color-coded agenda, so every class that I took, so that when I went in and like they matched my notebook, but these are the syllabi and the assignments that we had to do and all that kind of thing. For the purpose of this video, I did keep it really brief, but honestly, if you guys have any questions about anything like really specific about courses that you want to know more of, hit me up in the comments, hit me up on IG and my DMs. I'm very open to answering questions and giving you all the information that you need to know, right? In order to be able to graduate from Howard's program on time, you will have to take 5 classes each semester for the 2 years that you're in school. So if you are trying to do this program part-time, it's possible, because there were people in my cohort that did that, but realize that you may not graduate in the intended 3 years if you do attend Howard's program part-time. So I was full-time and I took 5 classes my first semester. Those 5 classes I'm going to put right there so that you can see were Intro to School Psychology, Individual Assessment of Cognitive Abilities Part 1, Survey of Exceptional Populations, Human Development, and Social Psychology of the Individual. So those 5 courses were my little snippet into what school psychology really was. In Intro to School Psychology, you learn about the history and the foundations of school psychology. So we read this textbook, and I'll put a picture of it right there. It gave us a basic understanding of what the field was in about 10 chapters. So we spent the whole semester reading that book. That course and that book are very important because it is important to know the basics of your field, the history of your field, the foundation of your field, so that as you continue to gain more knowledge, you know where you're coming from, you know the history, right? So that was the major assignment that we had. Everybody had to pick a book chapter and present it to the class. In our Individual Assessment of Cognitive Abilities Part 1 course, we learned about the cognitive tests that are used to test students' IQ. So that class was important because it was our introduction to what assessment really looked like. So you can Google up and down all day how to assess, what that process looks like, but you won't be able to find that information online because the tests are supposed to be secure, they're supposed to be private. Nobody's supposed to have access to those materials unless they are an evaluator. So that is your first real glimpse into what assessment looks like. In that class, we had to actually do the assessment. So we started off learning on our classmates. So you picked a partner and you would give the assessment to them, they would give the assessment back to you, you'd score it, then you double score it, and then you would begin to learn and be able to understand the test that way. We had to do that with about 2 different tests, and once we got those skills down packed, we had to find students that we could test, not our actual students as yet, because we weren't in practicum, we didn't have any students, so we had to find students to be able to test so that we can begin to practice those skills, because again, this is a practice-based specialty, so we had to learn those assessment skills. In our Survey of Exceptional Populations course, we learned about all of the different Individuals with Disability Education Act classifications, so those IDEA classifications that students are given in special education. So there you think about the specific learning disabled, you'll hear about the intellectually disabled classification, the other health impaired classification. There are 13 classifications and they are listed there just for you all's knowledge. And we learned about the classifications, but we also learned about special education laws and case law that really gets you to understanding how we got to IDEA. In that course, we learned about how to write IEP goals, because in some districts, that could also be a part of your duty. So that class was really amazing. One of the major assignments that we had to do was a disability simulation. So we had to, for a week, act like we were walking around Howard's campus with a disability. So for me, the one that I did was that I would have been in a wheelchair. And in that case, I learned that Howard was definitely not wheelchair accessible for students that had disabilities. So if you were not an able-bodied person on Howard's campus, you're probably gonna have a hard time. And I realized that for myself when a few years later, I had a cane because I had a knee accident, and it was just so hard, like walking around campus and all the hills, and then there are only, like, some buildings only have staircases. That class really opened my eyes to what the world really looks like and may look like for our students with disabilities, right? And really being able to take into account that our reality is different from theirs, and we have to learn to be empathetic to what they're going through to be able to service them as best as possible. During that first semester, we took a human development course. So in that course, we were learning about human development, but through the lens of Black people. So we see now and throughout history that the information that we were learning in school was whitewashed. So it was very important that at Howard, a historically Black university, that we would learn about human development and those theories as they related to students of color and Black students in particular. So we learned about ancient Kemet in that class. We learned about really the teachings of theorists that came before even the white theorists, and how the same studies and the same theories that they have will look different for students that look like us. The major assignment in that class was to do chapter reviews for the 2 books that he assigned. It was very easy. I think we had like a presentation, but ultimately a very easy class to take. And then the 5th class that we took during our 5th semester was social psych of the individual. Honestly, truly, I ain't even gonna lie to y'all, I don't remember much of that class, but the class's intent and the purpose of the class really was to teach us about how personality affects our social understanding of the world, and how basically by being social humans and being social beings, that will impact our development in the world. And when we're looking at students specifically, being able to be more empathetic and understand them. So in that class, the major assignment that we had to do was a presentation. We had to review an article and give a presentation about like what we would have done differently and that kind of thing. Very easy, probably one of the worst classes that I took while I was at Howard, but again, that semester was a breeze. So even if you're not trying to go to Howard University, right? I want these videos to be able to just give you a really good outline and understanding of what the possibilities may be. Because I'm just here to try to give y'all what I wish I would have had before I got to Howard. So, like I said, any questions that you have, you know where to find me. I'm definitely accessible and open to answering questions. So my first year at Howard, right, wasn't just all coursework. Me and my cohort were very close. Like, we all got super close because of the work that we had to do, all of that group work, but because we were all like-minded and wanted to hang out with each other. So with all of us, we attended, like happy hours during the week. We went to dinner on the weekends. We had sleepovers and game nights at each other's houses. I hope that your reality is the same as mine, where you find people that are just as amazing as you are, that want to help you, that you can hang out with, right? Because that's how you make friends in adulthood. You make friends with the people that you're closest with. So that's what we did. And we really did spend a lot of time together.
Hey, cohort. Hey, girl.
So thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of the Ginger Spice Show. I hope that you got exactly what you needed out of it. I hope, since you've made it all the way here, that you have already done what? Liked, commented, and subscribed. Here's your chance. Do it now. Thank you all for coming to sit with me. I really hope that you enjoyed, and I'll see you next week.